This is a continuation from the very first video. If you haven't seen the first video in which I show you how to lay out, cut and assemble the cardboard box, then please watch that. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a nice little lid for that same box. Much like the very first video, in order to do this, you're going to need a pencil. You are going to need some sort of cutting tool, so either scissors or an X-Acto knife. You are going to need some sort of measuring tool that can measure in centimeters, so either a ruler or a tape measure. And you're going to need some sort of adhesive, so either a regular old tape or a glue stick. Both will work. And again, in this video, I'm going to show you how you could use either. As for the material that you're making the box out of, again, you have several choices. You can always go with paper. You can use old cereal box, that works best if you want something that is rigid, like this. And alternatively, you can always use just some old file folder that you found lying around in the house. Because I made one out of an old file folder in my first video, I'm going to use file folder for mine, but you can use any of those three materials. The one material I would recommend you don't use is cardboard, so please don't use cardboard for this. I'd also like to say before I begin this video, if you have watched the first video and you understand how to lay out and how to assemble this, you can look in the description below, and that actually just gives you all the dimensions, and you can actually skip this video and use the dimensions to lay out yourself. But if you want to use this as a guide, this is the purpose of that video. So let's begin. But we're going to start from the reference end, which is the flattest end, and we're going to start to lay out all our vertical lines. And so these are the dimensions. We're going to go from our straight end, and we're going to go and measure 15 millimeters from the end. And again, I'm going to make several little dots, and then I can connect those dots. The purpose of those dots is to ensure that I can get the straightest line possible. I'm only going to say this once because you've already seen this in the first video, but before you carry on with the next one, make sure that it's 15 millimeters all the way throughout. Good. Now I'm going to do 30 millimeters from this line here. And from the last video, I'm going just to add 30 plus 15 because I always want to go off my reference edge. Now we're going to do this length, and this length is 105 millimeters, or 10.5 centimeters. So here's 105. And so there's 105, and then we're going to do 30 millimeters, which is this distance here. Finally, 15, and that's the hem here. Now that we've drawn the vertical lines, it should look something like this. So next we're going to go off our straightest edge, which is clearly this one. This isn't straight at all. And now we're going to lay out our horizontal line. So we're going to do 15 millimeters from the reference edge. Next, we're going to go and do this face, and this face is 30 millimeters as well. I'm going to measure 45 from the reference edge. And now I'm going to do this distance here. That's 55 millimeters. So 55 plus 30 plus 15 equals
1 hour later.
100. So that's 100 millimeters from the reference edge. And so now that's 55. This again we know is 30, so I'm going to do 30 from this end, or 130 from the reference edge. Finally, we're going to do the hem, which is 15 millimeters. So that's 15 millimeters from this line, or 145 from the edge. And now we've got all our horizontal lines. Now if you look a little bit carefully, you will see 4 30 by 30 millimeter squares. And you may have remembered from our previous video, we're going to start from this corner here, connect the X, and go all the way until we go off the paper. So, corner to corner and then off the paper, like this. Same thing down here. Here as well. And here as well. Should look like this when you're done. And then we are going to connect this corner to this corner, and we're going to extend that line until we move off our paper. So, and then I'm going to go off the paper, off the paper. So now it looks like this. Next, you want to just take like a darker pencil or a Sharpie and highlight or outline all the areas that you are going to be keeping so you don't actually cut off the wrong thing when you're at the cutting stage. So I've already started here, 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 and I'm going to carry on. And that's what that looks like. Now, just for added clarity, I'm just going to fill these in with color so that you can see what parts are what parts. So here we go. As you can see, we have our 4 red hems, and we have 4 light green tabs, which will essentially be these things, which help join the whole box together. So again, we're now going to cut along our dark line, being very careful that we don't cut inside our outline. Again, you can always use scissors or an X-Acto knife. I'm just going to go ahead and use scissors. And there we go. Now it's time to fold and assemble. So our next step is we're going to begin by folding in our red hems So we're going to fold them inside so they look something like this. I'm going to start by showing you the tape method. Hit the ruler right up against the edge. If you're using tape, you would tape this down. Next, same thing over here. It should look like this. And if you're gluing this, again, take the ruler, bend upwards, add the glue, and then hold down. And do the same thing for this side. And when you've either glued or taped up your hems, it'll look something like this. Next, I'm going to fold these green tabs inward, and these again will be these. And that's what that should look like. Just like the first video, we're going to start to fold the box upward. So I'll start with this side. It should look something like this. And then I'm going to fold these two lines upward. And now we have something that kind of looks like this. I'm going to fold these in. And at this point, we're ready to assemble. So again, I'll start by showing you the tape method. Grab your tape. Put a little bit of tape on the tab. And pinch. Tape on the tab. And pinch. If you're doing the glue method, lie it flat. Put some glue on the tab, some glue on the tab. Bend upwards. Pinch. And hold that down for a little bit. Same thing. And there you go. You should have something that looks like this. Again, I just showed you both methods. You can pick one and be consistent along all four sides. But congratulations. You now have a lid to go with your box. Thank you for watching and happy making.